Release the dreadnought.
Two heavily armed vehicles tear toward the finish line of the death race. Behind the wheel of the first is the crowd favorite, masked as Frankenstein. His navigator, the girl Case, frantically puts out a fire in the cockpit with an extinguisher after another attack. She urges him to give up, warning that the car is about to explode. Their pursuer, the seasoned gunner Machine Gun Joe, has already lost his navigator in the shootout. Frankenstein's weapons are dry, so he drops part of his armor to take out Joe. A heavy metal plate smashes into the rival's windshield, ripping a huge chunk off the hood. But Joe's ride is still rolling, and he lines up a shot on Frankenstein's vulnerable fuel tank. Only 400 meters to the finish, and Case ejects herself. She refuses to die for the win. Frankenstein pushes to the end. A rocket hits his car, sending it airborne as it crosses the line in flames. The fate of the burning winner remains unknown. A few days earlier, Jensen Ames is grinding through a shift at the steel mill. He served his time and now lives a quiet life with his family. But times are tough. He has to sweat to feed them. The factory is shutting down and management has no intention of paying owed wages. To keep the angry workers in line, a police squad arrives. The moment anyone resists, the cops open fire with rubber bullets and charge in with batons. Jensen tries to help his wounded buddy and takes a hit himself. As he lies on the ground recovering, a cop rushes him. In a rage, Jensen fights back, grabs the baton, knocks out two with powerful swings, and dares the rest to come get some. Late that night, he returns home, where his loving wife, Susie, greets him. She stands by him despite the job troubles. Their passionate moment is interrupted by their little daughter's cry from the bedroom. Jensen soothes the child and heads to the bathroom, unaware that a masked killer has slipped into the house. The intruder murders Susie, then knocks Jensen out when he discovers her body. Before leaving, the killer places a kitchen knife in Jensen's hand and makes a finger gun gesture. Later, police find Jensen and charge him with his wife's murder. 6 months later, on a rainy day, Jensen is transported to serve his sentence at Terminal Island Prison. Guard Ulrich inspects the new arrival, then hoses him down with ice-cold water. Another guard lands a couple of painful blows to let the prisoner know where he is. Jensen's cellmates clearly have bad intentions. Ulrich leaves him to their mercy, but he's disappointed. As soon as the guard steps away, Jensen effortlessly takes out all three. The next morning, Jensen eats breakfast in the mess hall when he's spotted by Coach and Lists, who recognize him as the former famous racer whose career was ruined by a past prison stint. Suddenly, all chatter stops as Pachenko enters with his crew. They single out Jensen, spit in his food, call him a woman and child killer, and provoke a fight. Jensen doesn't wait to be jumped. He fights back hard, but guards with rifles quickly break it up. Ulrich escorts Jensen to Warden Claire Hennessy. He warns that Pachenko is a death race participant, and anyone who touches a racer faces severe punishment. Hennessy greets Jensen, asks about his racing past, and tells him about Frankenstein, the crowd's favorite. Unfortunately, he died on the operating table after an explosion in his last race, and people watched the show mostly for him. Since he wore a mask to hide scars from past crashes, they can replace him with another driver and keep the legend alive. She offers Jensen the chance to wear the mask and play the dead Frankenstein. He refuses, sensing a trap, but she's told that if he wins 5 races and finishes first each time, he'll walk free. The deal gets even sweeter. Frankenstein, Frank for short, already won 4, so Jensen only needs one more victory. Jensen still smells something off, but life imprisonment in this hellhole appeals even less. Plus, Hennessy threatens solitary to keep her secret safe, so Jensen becomes the new Frankenstein. Soon he's introduced to Frank's pit crew, the same trio who were gossiping about him in the mess hall. Each racer has their own mechanics. No one helps anyone else. Only the crew and a few guards will know the real identity under the mask. Hennessy will make damn sure of that. Her company lost massive money during the 6 months without their star driver. To make the next race even bigger, she's been building something in a sealed-off wing for a whole month. No one allowed in. They show Jensen the Monster, a modified Mustang fastback that belonged to Frankenstein. 850 horsepower, nitrous boost for extra speed, bulletproof glass and steel plates for protection. The strongest is the rear shield, optimistically called the Tombstone. That's what Frank dropped in his final attempt to block Joe's attacks, and paid with his life. The arsenal includes machine guns, smoke screens, napalm, and oil slicks to make life hell for pursuers. Ammo is loaded only right before the start, so inmates can't turn on guards and escape. Hennessy can remotely disable weapons anyway, and getting off the island is nearly impossible. Only one small bridge to the mainland, swarmed by cop cars and choppers at the first sign of breakout. Jensen asks about his predecessor. They say he took about 20 racers to the grave. Fatality rate per race is 60%, and no one has ever won 5 times. The race has 3 stages. In the first 2, take out as many rivals as possible so the third is a clean run to first. On race day, Jensen will meet Case, his navigator. Exception: Machine Gun Joe races with male navigators. His girls die like flies, so they save the women for other drivers. Then Lists starts briefing Jensen on the top threats to watch for. 14K, the heir to a Chinese mafia boss and a top tech university grad. Hector Grimm, a clinical psychopath who worships Hennessy as the Indian goddess of death. Pachenko, head of the so-called Aryan Brotherhood, and Travis Colt, a former NASCAR superstar with a nasty temper who plowed into a crowd while drunk. The chat is cut short when Joe and his crew roll up. They've heard Frank is out with injuries and ask about the new guy. Coach passes Jensen off as a fresh mechanic. Joe taunts him and leaves a message for Frankenstein. He'll finish what he started. Hennessy guards her secrets well. Joe has no idea he already sent his old rival to the afterlife. Just then, a truck brings in inmates allowed outside work detail. Jensen notices tracking bracelets on their wrists. Later, he realizes he saw the same one on his wife's killer. Race day for Stage 1 arrives. Jensen secretly suits up as Frankenstein and steps out to roaring cheers from the crowd and nervous glances from rivals. Coach advises him not to talk to other drivers. Frank never did. The bus with the girls pulls up, and the inmates lose it. Shouts, whistles, catcalls. Guards hold back the madness. Case climbs into the monster with Jensen. She knows the real Frank is dead, and the windows are one-way mirror glass, so Jensen can take off the mask during the race. Hennessy gets the green light. The death race goes live. The announcer pitches the subscription, $99 for Stage 1, $250 for all 3. The warden hopes to hit 45 million viewers today. Do the math. Jensen asks Case why she's in prison. She admits she killed a cop, but not because of how he did his job. She killed him because he was a terrible husband. Over the radio, Coach warns the drivers. Hennessy locks weapons until lap 2. There are 3 laps total. The race kicks off. Killer cars roar forward, slamming each other off the track. Jensen spins but handles it like a pro, quickly straightening out with minimal speed loss. Case knows her stuff and guides him on a shortcut. They surge to first, passing Joe's Jeep. Joe chases hard and a brutal duel erupts. The crew tells Jensen not to go head-on, play it smarter. Lap 2 begins, and Hennessy activates swords and shields. Ground panels you must hit with all 4 wheels to unlock weapons. Shields give smoke, napalm, oil. Swords unlock machine guns and rockets. There are also death heads, panels that trigger lethal traps. When veteran Grimm gets lit up by a pursuer, he triggers one and claims another kill. Then he tangles with Joe, who hits oil and drops to last. Grimm doesn't celebrate long. 14K surges ahead, drops spikes that shred Grimm's tires. Grimm's car spins airborne. The Chinese racer finishes him with a precise rocket shot. The wounded psycho crawls from the wreck, stands on the track declaring he beat death itself. Joe proves him wrong, running him over in a controlled drift. The spectacular kill is broadcast in close-up for the viewers. Meanwhile, Jensen finally gets his machine gun online, but it jams instantly. Without hesitation, Case unbuckles, climbs out the window, and fixes it mid-race. A rival navigator climbs onto her own roof, unleashing a hail of bullets at the exposed Case. Jensen is stunned by her suicidal move and weaves wildly to shield her from fire. Case finishes the repair and drops back inside. Bullets fly everywhere. Coach saves Liss by pulling him to the ground. Jensen snatches a shield from under Colt's nose, but the defenses mysteriously fail. It starts looking like this is what killed the previous monster driver, and suspicion grows. Rivals keep hammering the leader's car. Beating Frankenstein means instant fame and glory. Now Colt is on his tail. The tombstone holds for now, but it won't last to the finish. Time to improvise. Jensen orders Case to manually detach a napalm canister and strap it to the passenger seat. She kneels on his lap, ejects the seat, dousing the pursuer in flaming gel. Colt is now riding a powder keg. Case flicks the lighter for the spark. Joe rams another rival, leaving no chance of survival. Another crowd-pleasing moment. Hennessy grins as viewership records shatter. Joe cuts the corner. Pachenko pulls right up to Jensen and flashes that familiar finger gun gesture. Jensen freezes for a split second, then Joe slams him from ambush. With little distance left, the monster crosses the line last among the 6 survivors. 14 hours until Stage 2. Mechanics swarm to rebuild the cars. They find all weapon systems are fine. The malfunctions during the race remain a mystery. Jensen can't stop thinking about Pachenko's gesture. He storms to Hennessy and tells her to go to hell, refusing the next stage. He figures out she orchestrated his wife's murder to get a skilled driver for her races. Hennessy clears the room for a private talk, then shows photos of the foster parents who took Jensen's little daughter from the orphanage. He'll play along if he ever wants to see her again. Plus, he burns for revenge on Pachenko, so he stays in the race. Jensen leaves, taking his daughter's photo, then tears off the foster father's face. Coach sees it and pieces things together. Jensen asks why Coach has no prisoner number on his clothes. Coach explains he earned early release 3 years ago, but couldn't bring himself to walk out the gates. He chose not to face a world that changed too much while he was inside. He doesn't say why he went in, but he's shocked when Jensen reveals his life sentence. Jensen hints Coach is right. It was all Hennessy's doing to find a new Frankenstein. Later that evening, Joe carves fresh scars on his face to mark his latest kills. Jensen and Liss work on the car when Pachenko walks by. Jensen follows. Pachenko's crew spots him and takes him hostage. Pachenko lands heavy blows before Jensen accuses him of killing Susie. The scum shows no remorse, grabs a huge wrench to finish Jensen. He doesn't care what Hennessy needs. He's stopped by Liss, who stabs a screwdriver into his back. The mechanics beat Liss for it, but Jensen breaks free, knocks out Pachenko's goon, then unleashes fury on the killer who ruined his life. But Pachenko confesses. Hennessy and Ulrich forced him to do it. He begs for mercy, but Jensen doesn't care and raises a massive pipe. Ulrich saves Pachenko with a taser on Jensen. The next day, before Stage 2, Pachenko taunts Jensen again with the killer gesture. This time, Jensen ignores it. He lets 5 rivals pull far ahead, then pulls into a tunnel to interrogate Case. If she lies, he'll eject her straight into the ceiling. He demands to know her role in Frank's death. Case admits she blocked the weapons. Hennessy promised her freedom if she stopped Frank from getting his 5th win. She had the same orders yesterday, to hold Jensen back and keep the drama alive. Satisfied, Jensen hits the nitrous, easily catches the pack, spins Joe's car to clear his path, and goes after Pachenko for good. Ulrich and Hennessy eagerly await the show. Jensen ignores crew advice and activates forward weapons even while leading Pachenko. But he planned it, spins the car to fire backward while reversing, then spins again, blasting smoke in Pachenko's face. The Aryan crashes into a concrete barrier. Wounded, Pachenko crawls out. Jensen pauses the race to snap his neck in front of millions. Joe tries to take the vulnerable leader, but his navigator screws up. Joe ejects him mid-race. Hennessy decides it's time to unveil her big surprise, the massive armored tanker called Dreadnought. It quickly catches the pack, wiping out 2 with cannon blasts. The truck uses restricted ramps to always get the best attack angles. Dreadnought latches onto 14K's car, kills his navigator, then blasts the driver with the tank turret. Now only Joe and Jensen remain. They team up to survive. With the crew's help, Jensen radios Joe. They sandwich the Dreadnought between them. It costs Joe another navigator, but they both hit a death head panel from opposite sides. The trap rises right in front of the truck. Stage 2 ends. Now it's just a duel between Jensen and Joe. They meet in the garage. Joe notices the mechanic's voice sounds suspiciously like Frank's. He figures out who's under the mask. Meanwhile, Ulrich and Hennessy agree it's time to eliminate the dangerous Jensen. Frankenstein can't win a 5th time. The mask needs a new wearer. Ulrich plants a bomb under Jensen's car, while Hennessy distracts everyone with a pompous speech about how death race is the only thing society's trash is good for. Jensen and Joe realize they're being played and won't be allowed to walk free. Back in the garage, Jensen and Coach hatch a plan to screw the ruthless wardens. While adding an extra fuel tank to the monster, Jensen goes to talk to Joe. As Jensen suits up in Frank's gear, Hennessy visits with already signed release papers if he wins. But she suggests he stay, keep racing as Frankenstein. Sure, he wants freedom for his daughter, but maybe the foster family is better than a dad convicted of murdering her mom. The cunning manipulation frames self-sacrifice as pure fatherly love. For a second, Jensen doubts himself. Can he be a gentle, caring dad after everything he's been through? He pockets the papers and heads to the car. Case confesses Hennessy ordered her to stop him again, but this time she won't obey. The race starts. Ulrich manipulates panels so only Joe gets them. He opens fire on Jensen, turning the tombstone into Swiss cheese. Case frantically extinguishes the cockpit fire. Jensen launches the useless shield at Joe, just like his predecessor, but Joe dodges the familiar trick easily. To drag out the show, Hennessy lets Jensen activate a defense panel, but Joe fires a rocket into the ground, destroying it. The monster still leads. Ulrich is ready to detonate the bomb if needed. Joe unleashes new heavy rockets. Jensen dodges, but it's a feint. The blast tears open a wall, weakened from earlier stages. Jensen and Joe blast through the hole and race toward the bridge to freedom. Furious, Hennessy cuts the broadcast and triggers the bomb, but Coach and the crew laugh. They inspected the monster thoroughly and disarmed it. The racers reach the bridge, but cops close in. Time for the extra fuel tank. Jensen launches it at the pursuers, triggering a massive explosion and pileup. Joe's latest navigator isn't so lucky. Tower guards gun him down. Both inmates cross the bridge gates and split onto different roads. Choppers chase only Jensen. Case agrees to help with the final part of the plan. She feels guilty about Frank and doesn't want to lose another driver she's grown close to. Plus, she has her own signed release papers, making her escape fully legal. Jensen veers into an equipment yard that blocks the chopper's view and jumps out on the move. Case slides into the driver's seat. She leads the helicopters away before they're stopped by a wall of fire. She puts on the Frankenstein mask, climbs onto the roof, and surrenders. All eyes on her, while the real escapees slip into a freight train car. They agree to meet in Miami once Jensen gets his daughter back. Ulrich returns to Hennessy with glee. Frankenstein is back on base, and ratings smashed every record. In celebration, the warden even gets a congratulatory gift.
I love this game.
6 months later, Joe and Jensen tinker with cars in a shared garage. They've started fresh lives in Mexico, where Case, finally free, visits them. Jensen has regained custody of his daughter and introduces her to his battle-hardened friend. As always, the movie title is in the video description. Now, drop a comment. Did you count how many of Machine Gun Joe's navigators died throughout the film? And don't forget to subscribe. And like so more epic plot breakdowns drop regularly.